Rocky Mountain National Park, Central Park, although I wouldn't necessarily want to hang out there. You know, Central Park, but, you know, without the crime. Okay? And they're complete unto themselves. Everything is grown aboard the craft. So, when they come here, and they send a team down to the surface of a planet, and they say, okay, we're setting up we're setting up an Eden because we're going to leave you, a team of you here, to research the life, the plant life, the geology of the planet, the minerals, what it has, okay? What they do is they literally drop, can be as many as 12 type of cylindrical antennas. They plant these antennas down into the ground, at least a mile into the ground, and when they flip these things on, they connect. And when they connect, when they turn on and they connect to each other, they create a dome. Okay? A dome. It's a frequency dome. And then all they do is they unload the plants, they unload the fruit trees, everything they need, and this biosphere is exactly to match their physiology. Doesn't have too much oxygen, doesn't have too much carbon. It's exactly what they need. It can even be hydrogen. Can even be hydrogen. Because what it means is then, once they leave, they just wear a spacesuit and they can go out and do their work. But when they come back from doing their work, they enter their biosphere, and it's like living on the home planet. Okay? This is what I'm talking about. This is what an Eden is. Okay? This is what Richard Hoagland's been talking about all those years with the dome structures. This is what he's talking about. This is what these things were for. Exactly. Okay? It's good stuff. God, it gives me the chills. Okay. The very first one was founded in North America, what is now North America. Okay? Along what is now known as the New Mexico-Arizona border. And it was founded by and established by the ctica, which are a hydrogen-based life form. Okay? So they had to have something like this. Now, hydrogen is a gas, okay? It's not something we can use. We can't, our physiology simply will not allow us to breathe and live in an environment like that. But hydrogen, the beings tend to be very large. They tend to be a little bit slower in movement. Their body frequency, the rhythms of their biosystem are much, much slower than O2. And the one thing about hydrogen-based life forms is that they cannot go faster than the speed of light in space travel. They can't. Where O2 have been known to go 4 times the speed of light. Okay? And that's been a real problem for the hydrogen-based beings. Okay? In lectures years ago, I talked about how prejudice is an extraterrestrial perspective. That's what I've been taught by Morine Faceus. Okay? So all the prejudices we have, we've learned. We've formed some of our own. Okay? But the initial not liking any of your own race was taught to us by these guys. Okay? Millions and millions of years ago. Okay. Now, this first Eden was created 899,701 Earth years ago. Okay? And this was by the ctica in New Mexico, Arizona border. Okay? They still fancy the desert. They still fancy the desert, the reptilians. Okay? This biosphere was first inhabited by caste. Now, the reptilian civilization is three castes, is a caste system. Okay, it's a monarchy, but it's also a caste system. And you will find that it is stunningly similar to those in England, okay, in Europe, where you have royalty. Okay, you have the officer class, which is your dukes, your earls, okay, and then you have your peasants who do all the dirty work, literally do all the work. Okay, it's exactly like that. According to Mornay, this first biosphere was built by the officer caste or officer class of reptilian beings, and they were the first to stay here. It was not actual royalty. Okay? Okay, everybody have this? Okay. Several thousand years later, Orion, well, actually a couple hundred years later, Orion established an Eden here from the Orion star system. God, I'm so bummed my wife is missing all this. Okay. If you have your cheat sheet that I handed you, huh? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Good. Thank you, Mike. Okay. In Orion, they come from Rigel and Betelgeuse. Now, okay, that's these systems here. Okay, I'm glad I brought extra. Now, Rigel, the star we call Rigel, the Orions, their name for this planet, for this star system, is Cyclopesis. In their tongue, it is called Cyclopesis. And whenever they go to a formal function of a galactic event, where there are other star races there, and we will get to that, the proper way that they introduce themselves, and this is what the Andromedans do, and apparently it's tradition, and it was done, and everyone, whether they're enemies or not, have agreed to these specific introduction traditions so that there's no misunderstandings. Okay? So they've created traditions, and everybody does it, no matter what. This is what they do. You introduce yourself, you give them your full name, any rank or office, and the star system that you're from. So, Alex Collier, father, because I don't have a rank or an office, okay? Sol system, Terra 3. That's how I would properly introduce myself, so that whoever it is that I'm introducing myself to knows who I am and where I'm from. Now, if you're an extraterrestrial, you're all talking, most of them are telepathic. So therefore, they're giving the same information, but as they're giving the information, they're also flashing star maps because that's what's in their head, you know. And the other races immediately acknowledge that because they get all that. Okay? Okay. Orion established their first Eden in what is now called, I'm going to write this down for you, Uramani, China. The date, 763,132 years ago. Okay. Shortly thereafter, Capella, also part of Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. The Capellans established their first full operational Eden, 740